Happy Camper Radio starts in 3, 2, 1. Time to go camping. Hello, everybody. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, I'm going to do my best to make a happy camper out of you. It's episode 166. And on the program today, have you ever thought about renting a vehicle as opposed to taking the vehicle you typically drive every day? If you're planning a long-distance camping trip, is the vehicle you own secure enough? Is it safe enough, in your opinion, to make it back and forth from your destination without any problems whatsoever? If it were to break down, are you prepared to handle the mechanical expenses involved? Not to mention that the setback or anything else that's going to take place. One of the things we're going to talk about on the show today for those long-distance camping trips, rental vehicles versus the vehicles you own. Very interesting topic of conversation. I'm going to throw some interesting points out at you today. So stick around. You can get in touch with us here at the Happy Camper Radio Show anytime by calling 404-537-2267. That's 404-537-CAMP. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to www.happycamperradio.com. You'll find all of our social media icons right there on the homepage. You click on any of them, you'll connect right up with us. Take the studio tour. Always something brand new happening behind the scenes. We've got great photographs, great camping tips, and of course, you can catch up with any one of our previous podcast episodes by clicking on the podcast episode tab in the upper right-hand corner of the toolbar. The Happy Camper Radio Show is heard all around the world by great listeners just like yourself. You can find us in the iTunes Store and Podbean, Myra Guide, Stitcher, BlackBerry Podcast Directory, iHeartRadio, and now on Google Play Music. Tell your friends to tune into Happy Camper Radio today. Right now, I want to go over to the shout-out window like I normally do. It's one of my favorite parts of the program because anybody that signs up with us on social media, we take an opportunity to recognize them on the show. And this week, we want to recognize Victor Barber of Lake Havasu City, Arizona, Jason Markava of Lennon, Michigan, David Eddington of Kansas City, Missouri. They like us on Facebook. To Camping Concepts, Jack Young of San Jose, California, the fine folks at Armadillo Trailers in Enderby, British Columbia, Campa Cabana in Belgium, Adventures of August in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my hometown, and finally, want to say hello to Northwest Family RV Travel in West Lynn, Oregon. They're following us on Twitter this week. Thank you all so very much. Always a pleasure to have you on board. And more importantly, thank you for being a part of this great Happy Camper Radio family. Would you like to be a guest on the program? Get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. If there's something interesting in the line of camping and you'd like to talk with us, I'd love to have you on the program. All right, let me throw something out here at you because I am very excited about this, and I know you will be too once you hear it. We have a brand new identity package coming to the Happy Camper Radio Show. We contracted with the fine folks at Jam Creative Productions in Dallas, Texas, and they're working us up a brand new identity package that's very upbeat, very professional. In my opinion, it's going to bump the show up several notches. I know you're going to love it. I've heard some sample cuts. I've chosen a few that I think is going to help the program, and hopefully we'll have them here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I know they mentioned to me it could take anywhere from 3 days all the way up to 6 weeks before the final production is done. But I think you're going to like it. I know it's something that I have been wanting to do for a very long time, and it's going to really make the Happy Camper Radio Show sound so much better. So you stick around for that. You'll notice the difference here at the studio. Okay, let's talk about rental vehicles for long-distance camping trips. Here's my idea of a long-distance camping trip. 1, traveling out of state. Or 2, anytime you get behind the wheel and you travel more than 100 miles to reach your destination. That's the idea of a long-distance camping trip. And when you're planning a long-distance camping trip, you may want to consider renting a vehicle versus driving the vehicle you own, regardless of the age. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. Here's some of the things, you want to consider all the time. And if you're a person who constantly focuses their attention on the vehicle itself, and you've taken care of it over the years, I have always said you take care of your vehicle is going to take care of you. But if you let things slide, if you forget about those oil changes, or you forget about checking the airs in the tire, or worrying about when the brakes were last checked out, then that vehicle is not going to last you a whole lot longer. So you got to be considerate of this if you're planning to use that vehicle on a long-distance camping trip. Is your current vehicle showing any signs of wear and tear? Are the tires worn out? Does it have a lot of miles on it? Is it running kind of rough? When was the last time you had your car in for a checkup? Here's some of the things you want to consider before hitting the road with that car. Consider renting a vehicle for your upcoming trip. Some other things you want to consider too. Do you question the reliability of your vehicle anytime you get in it for a trip? Let's say you're traveling maybe 60 miles. You're not going 100 miles out of town. But you wonder when you get behind the wheel of your vehicle, could something possibly happen between here and there that would cause a mechanical failure? Is there any chance that your vehicle will not make it? How many days do you plan on being away for your trip? If you're going to rent a vehicle, another thing you want to consider too, especially if you're bringing a lot of camping equipment, not very many people actually pack stuff away like I do. Some people just have a tent and a cooler and some sleeping bags, and that's about it. And you don't really need that much space. But if you're going to be taking a lot of camping equipment with you, consider the size of the rental vehicle and available storage. You may have to end up getting a minivan, maybe a larger van, or even a pickup truck. But here's some of the things you want to consider if you're going to rent a vehicle for an upcoming camping trip. And you also have to factor in there the cost of the rental too. The last thing any one of us want is car trouble along the way. There are going to be some risks associated with driving your own vehicle long distance. And here they are. Added miles. Even on newer vehicles, you're going to add miles to your vehicle. Increased mileage will cause the warranty to run out a lot quicker. It's going to add wear and tear to your vehicle. And over-the-road repair costs, you got to consider that too. If your vehicle is going to be down and out for a couple days and you've got the family and you're several hundred miles away from home, you're going to have some unexpected hotel stays. And, you got to consider that as well. That's going to eat into your budget as well as the repair cost of your vehicle. And what makes it matters even worse is if you're on your way to your camping destination and not on your way back. If you're on your way home, that's a different matter. But if you're on your way there, it's really eating into the days of your vacation and the length of your vacation stay. About a year and a half ago, I made a trip to South Georgia, and I had to make this same decision. Should I drive my own personal vehicle, or should I rent one? I own a very reliable pickup truck. It's a Ford F-150 half-ton pickup with an 8-foot open bed. I bought this vehicle new back in 1996. It was an end-of-the-year closeout. I was able to save some money on it. It's 21 years old now, and believe it or not, folks, it's still running great. It has 267,000 miles on it. I've had very few mechanical issues over the years. Outside of a leaky oil pan gasket, I say it's running pretty good. I'm comfortable in my truck. I love driving it. I feel confident that it would make the trip back to South Georgia without any problems at all. I was only going to be gone for 4 days, but because of the truck's age and other factors, I felt it would be best to leave the truck at home and rent a vehicle for this 4-day trip to South Georgia. And incidentally, folks, I wasn't camping. I was not going camping. I was just going down to stay at a friend's house and visit with him for a few days. But I had the concern about whether or not the vehicle were going to make it back to Atlanta and to the destination and vice versa. I mean, it was just really registered in my mind. And I said, no, I better go ahead and rent a vehicle. You know, there's always the possibility something could go wrong, and I definitely don't want it to go wrong that far away from home. It really makes you think about some of these things, folks. And it's very easy to get caught up in a situation, especially if you have vacation around the corner. Your kids are all pumped up and excited. You've already made the reservations. You've got tickets to the attractions. Everything is in place, but you're not really thinking for the moment about whether or not your vehicle is going to make it there or not. This should be factored into the equation on every single camping trip you go on, especially if you're traveling a long distance. Consider the worst-case situation. Ask yourself this: am I financially able to handle a major repair while on vacation? If you've always kept your vehicle in good running condition, I'm talking about regular oil changes, brake inspection and replacement, lubrication, you keep your tires inflated like you should, you've kept up with everything in the owner's manual, you've followed the manufacturer's recommendation for maintenance and repair to the T, you should feel pretty confident about your vehicle making the long-distance trip. But again, only you can make that decision. You drive that vehicle. You own that vehicle. If you were to call me and ask me for my recommendations, I'd tell you to rent a vehicle, especially if you had a vehicle that had about 100,000 miles on it. How about your insurance and your vehicle tags? Let's go there for a moment. Is your insurance premiums up to date? Do you have valid insurance on your vehicle? How about your vehicle tags? When does your driver's license expire? Have you checked that lately? You may be surprised to know that some states will not give you any advance warning whatsoever when your driver's license is going to expire. You're expected to know that. You're expected to know beforehand to go down to the driver's service center, wherever that is in your area, and get your license renewed. There are people today, folks, that are actually driving on an expired driver's license and do not know it. How about your insurance premiums? Have you opened your mail on a regular basis as it comes in? There are some people that just get their bills and or just get mail regardless of what it is and take it, set it over here and stack it up. Your insurance premium may be in there, a cancellation notice may be in there, and before you know it, you may be driving around without any auto insurance. And depending upon the state that you live in, there could be some consequences there too. People who drive without insurance in this state and get a cancellation notice come to find out that their driver's license is subjected to being suspended. It's a ripple effect. It's a terrible effect, but it does happen. But, you've got to keep in touch with all of these things, friends, because, if you get out there on the road and you have an accident, you get pulled over, the last thing you want to find out is that your driver's license is expired, you have no auto insurance, or the tags on your vehicle are expired too. It's very easy in our fast-paced world that we're living in today that these things can be easily forgotten about. And it's very easy to get caught up in the excitement of everything that's going on too. And people fail to recognize what could actually happen while out on the road. If you're traveling close to home, let's say your trip is maybe 60 miles. That's how far it is to reach your destination. Most likely, it's going to be safe for you to drive your vehicle. But again, you know your vehicle better than anyone. Regardless of it's a long-distance trip or a short-distance trip, always perform your routine maintenance checks before you go. Check the oil in your vehicle, check your brake fluid, check your antifreeze, make sure everything is up to par. Change your oil if necessary. If it's that time, maybe a little bit earlier, go ahead and change your oil out. Check the air in your tires, inspect the tread. Look for signs of excessive wear and replace any tires that need to be replaced. Make sure that your spare tire is properly inflated. When was the last time you checked that? Inspect the vehicle jack. Make sure it functions properly. Never underestimate the cost of towing in case you need it. Check with your insurance carrier, your insurance policy, to see if it does cover towing. My trip to the North Georgia mountains that I go maybe about 2 or 3 times a year is just about 100 miles away, maybe a little bit more. But regardless, I always make it a point to check the vehicle very, very carefully. The same as checking my camp inventory. It's just as important to check your vehicle maintenance schedule as it is your camping inventory. I set alerts on my smartphone so I know when important checks need to be made. Oil changes, for example, every 3 months or 3,000 miles. That's what my owner's manual calls for. And I put those smartphone alerts in my phone so I do not forget. Some people put little stickers up there on the inside of their windshield to remind them of that. Regardless of local or long distance, carry an extra credit card just in case. You may not have $2,000 or $3,000 sitting in the bank, sitting in a reserve somewhere, although it would be nice. Not everybody has that luxury. But if you have that extra credit card on hand to cover you just in case something goes bad, that's a good policy to have. I have an automatic transmission in one of my vehicles that went out a long, long time ago. Many, many years ago, in fact. This is definitely going to require your vehicle to be towed, folks. I can promise you that. And I don't know what a transmission repair today would cost compared to what it did back in the early days of me growing up. But a transmission repair back then was about $350. I think with the newer vehicles today, based on some of the people I've talked with, I hear that can put a $1,200 dent in your wallet. And that can be very, very expensive, especially if your vehicle is out of warranty. So definitely, if you can, keep an extra credit card handy just in case something does go wrong. Your cell phone should always be charged and have it handy just in case you break down. Check the lights, your turn signals, and don't overlook your license plate bulbs. Folks, this is going to sound crazy, but I was stopped recently for that very same violation. When was the last time that you walked around your vehicle and checked your turn signals, your flashers, your parking brakes, your backup lights, everything associated with your vehicle? Not too many people do that. I know if I was leaving the house right now to go to the store to pick up a loaf of bread and back, the last thing I'm thinking about are the lights on my vehicle, the backup lights, the parking lights. Well, lo and behold, I'm driving down the road at 9:30 at night, and here come the blue lights up behind me. The officer was very, very nice, of course. He asked me, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And I said, "I have not a clue. I knew I was driving the right speed limit." He said to me, "You don't have tag lights." Wow. Okay. I mean, I didn't get out. I took his word for it. But he handed me my driver's license and insurance back and says, take care of that right away if you can. Hey, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Be safe out there. But this is something you should do. Go around that vehicle and make sure that your lights are working. Most camping trips are going to go on without a hitch. Always prepare and brace yourself for the unexpected. There's great benefits to renting a vehicle for your camping trip. Most likely, you're going to be driving a vehicle with very low miles. I think the last vehicle that I rented had less than 200 miles on it. It had that new car smell to it. And I rented it from a reliable rental agency. And I think that's very important too. I knew that if I was going to have a problem along the way, that problem was going to be addressed and it wasn't going to cost me any more money. And it was a long-distance trip to go, all right? So I had to have that reliability. In many cases, you're going to be provided a toll-free number to call in the event of a mechanical failure. They're going to be able to get you back on the road in a replacement vehicle a lot faster than it would for you to sit in a hotel room for a couple days waiting on your vehicle to be repaired, which is going to cost more money out of your pocket. It's going to save you money on fuel, especially if you're renting a newer vehicle versus driving an older vehicle like the one I own. You're going to save wear and tear on your personal vehicle, whether it be new or old. And it's going to allow you to keep your car parked in the driveway while you're away on vacation. This is going to give people the impression that someone is home. And that's so very important too. You don't want your home to be a target of a burglary while you're away on vacation. And I've done a couple episodes on this too. So, check out some of those if you get an opportunity, some things you can do to protect your home while you're away on vacation. Most rental car facilities are going to require a major credit card for rentals. Stick with a well-known, reliable rental agency if at all possible. The one I use provides transportation to their office in case I need it. I get to select the vehicle that I want off the lot. Everything is explained to me ahead of time, including pricing. I know my rental is going to be dependable and reliable. I have used this particular rental agency for a number of years, and they've always come through for me. When you're renting a vehicle, be sure to get your questions answered ahead of time. This is so very important. Write down any questions that you may have in advance so you can get those questions answered and get them out of the way before you get down to the bottom line, which is signing the contract for your vehicle and putting your credit card on the line. Are you permitted to tow with that vehicle that you're renting? This is an important question I think you need to ask. A trailer, for example, do you have an RV that you're going to be pulling behind it? Some rental agencies will not allow towing, and some will. I had to rent a vehicle one time where I was going to be towing a car, and I had to get that straightened out ahead of time, and I had to make sure that the type of a car that I was renting would qualify for towing a vehicle. How about pets? Are you going to be taking your pets along on your long-distance camping trip? Are they permitted in the rental vehicle? You may be surprised if you read the contract very carefully. There are some rental agencies that will not allow pets to be transported in that vehicle. What you do in the event of an unexpected accident or collision, that should be discussed. Also, look over the compartment space. Make sure that you have adequate storage for all your camping gear. Only you know what you're going to be bringing, and you know what space is going to be required. So if your vehicle that you're being offered doesn't look like it's going to hold all that stuff and everybody's going to be crammed in there for that trip to your destination and back, you may want to consider renting a larger vehicle, whether it be a larger van or a pickup truck, or just as long as you have enough room for your passengers and all of your gear. Carefully consider the options for insurance. They will be able to provide you with insurance for an additional coverage. I know this is something that gets thrown at me all the time. Check with your current automobile insurance carrier to see what they cover in the event you decide to rent a vehicle. Be sure to go over the entire vehicle with your rental agency before you drive it off the lot. Look for dents and scratches. Check the damage in the interior. If you see anything there that's out of line or previous damage, point that out and make sure that that gets written on the contract too, so you don't get charged for that in the event you bring your vehicle back and it hasn't been noted. Most likely, your vehicle is going to be gone over with a fine-tooth comb before you get to drive it off the lot. Most of the agencies that I have dealt with, they're good agencies. They have reliable vehicles. You're not going to find dents and scratches and bumps and all this kind of stuff. Most of the vehicles that you're going to get an opportunity to drive and inspect before you go down the road are going to be good, reliable vehicles. Your rental agent's also going to note the gas gauge and show you how much fuel is in the vehicle. You will need to return the vehicle with that amount of fuel. Make sure that you have that amount or more when you return the vehicle, and I'll tell you why. Because if it's anything less, then they're going to charge you to put gas in that car, and chances are they're going to charge you more than you would pay at the gas pump. They'll even show you what it costs for them to refuel the vehicle or put the adequate fuel in the vehicle like you had before you left. So that's very, very important, something you should note. Be sure you drive the posted speed limit and obey all traffic laws. I'm telling you this from a law enforcement perspective. So very important. Just because you're driving a rental vehicle and you get pulled over and get a ticket and you feel, well, guess what? It's not my vehicle. I'm just going to return it. If it's a parking ticket, I'm not going to worry about it. I won't have to pay it. This is not my tag number on the back. Guess what? You gave them your credit card. They've got your credit card information, and it's going to be written in your contract, I promise you this, that if you receive any type of moving or parking violations while you're renting that vehicle and you do not pay those fines, it's all going to come back to the rental company, and you have given them permission to charge your credit card to pay those posted fines. Yes, folks, be very careful about that, but as long as you obey the law, you're not going to have any problems whatsoever. Folks, the bottom line here is rentals are going to cost you additional money. It's going to add to your vacation budget. It's something you may want to consider in planning for next year's vacation, especially if it's a long-distance trip away. It's going to save you, though, on your own vehicle's wear and tear, and in many cases, renting just makes perfectly good sense. Think about this. If you're going on vacation this year or next year or any time down the road, if you're planning a long-distance trip, you may want to consider renting a vehicle for that added satisfaction and peace of mind, knowing that you're going to reach your destination and back without any problem at all. It's time now for our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show.
Yep.
And this week, since the weather is so nice and we're talking about nice weather, let's talk about heading down to Fort Pickens Campground in Florida. It's our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. The Fort Pickens Campground is part of Gulf Islands National Seashore, run by the National Park Service. Fort Pickens Campground is situated on Santa Rosa Island, a part of the Gulf Islands National Seashore south of Pensacola and Gulf Breeze. Visitors enjoy the seashore for its great recreational activities, historic sites, and unique white sand beaches. Many visitors, young and old, come to Fort Pickens to enjoy its scenic location on the beach. The white sands of Santa Rosa Island are the perfect place for a long walk on an afternoon or building sandcastles. The warm ocean waters are great for swimming and snorkeling. Fishermen can find a pier a short distance from the picnic pavilions. It can be used for visitors without a Florida fishing license. The large campground is open for reservations year-round. It contains 180 family sites with electric and water hookups. A group site with water hookups is also available, and amenities include flush toilets, showers, drinking water, and a dump station. There are no boat ramps in the Fort Pickens area, so keep that in mind if you're towing a boat to go out on the ocean. The campground is a short distance from restaurants and beaches, nightlife, downtown Pensacola. I've been there already. Pensacola is a beautiful town. The Pensacola Naval Air Station and the Naval Aviation Museum is not far away, as well as the lighthouse and other historic sites. The campsites are within a quarter-mile of the beaches of the Emerald Coast of the Gulf of Mexico and Pensacola Bay. Check out all their list of activities and amenities right there on their website. Also, a list of no before-you-go items. Check those things out, too. They're also very, very important. Remember, don't move firewood. Help protect your forest from those pesky tree-killing insects by buying your firewood locally and burning it on site. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. You can also find a link to it on Happy Camper Radio. Looking for some warm temperatures, looking for a place to go camping anytime year-round, make your reservations right now at Fort Pickens Campground in Florida. It is our featured campground of the week here on the Happy Camper Radio Show. And, of course, if you have a campground you would like for us to feature on the program, get in touch with me, Skip, S-K-I-P, at happycamperradio.com. Make sure you include a link to the campground website. Well, folks, that's about all the time I have for today's show. As always, it's a pleasure sitting down behind the microphone, talking about camping, something I'm doing right this very minute. Yes, I'm on vacation. I'm having a great time. I'm camping all week long. Keep in touch with us on social media to learn all about it. Remember, friends, every pet deserves a loving home. I want you to do exactly like I did. Visit your local shelter and adopt a pet today. You can find us online anytime at www.happycamperradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Camp Talker, add us to Circles on Google+, and now subscribe to our YouTube channel. The Happy Camper Radio Show is a presentation of Skip Huber Productions. I'm Skip. I am a happy camper. And no question about it, my friends, I'm going to do my very best to make a happy camper out of you. Talk to you again real soon. Have a good one, everybody. This is Happy Camper Radio.